Hi, my name's Steve Grimmer. I work for WorkLink and we run the Jobs and Skills contract for the Great Southern, and that's all about getting people into work. I'm really pleased to be talking to you as you transition from school to work, and we're going to be discussing resume writing and interview skills. And I'm lucky to be joined by Ezra, a Year 12 student, who's going to be asking me a few questions.
Hi, my name's Ezra. I'm just leaving school and I've got a couple of questions for you. The first one is, what is a resume for?
The purpose of a resume is to actually get you an interview, and it's important that you make the resume interesting so that a potential employer says this person is worth getting in for an interview.
The next thing is, what key things should I include in my resume?
Well, there are 4 key things to include in a resume, and there's other things that you can include, but the most important part is a short profile at the beginning where you explain what career you're trying to get into and the qualities that you'd bring to an employer. This is important because it's the first part of the resume and it will make the employer want to read on. The second point is your education and qualifications. Again, it's important to let a potential employer know the education level that you've got to and any qualifications that you've got that are relevant to the work you're looking for. Following on from your education and qualifications, you should actually put a summary of the skills that you've obtained along the way. These might be skills that relate directly to jobs that you've done, but it might also just be general employability skills such as being good in a team, being able to get on with others, being reliable, as these are important to an employer. The third part is your work experience and employment history. If you're at school, a lot of the stuff that you will have done will be work experience, but you also might have had a part-time job. A good thing to add into this section also is any volunteer work that you've done. It's a very positive thing for employers to see that you've been part of a volunteer organisation. The final element is that you should include a couple of referees because this is important. Employers will want to ring up referees to check that what you've put into your resume is correct.
What's the best way to format my resume to make it more appealing to employers?
You should keep your resume very simple and in a Word format. There's no need to put pictures, etc. in it, but it should be tidy and it should be grammatically correct. It should not have spelling mistakes in it, and it should be easy to read. And I always recommend once you've created a resume that you actually get friends and family to have a read of it so they can make sure that they can understand it and it's worth sending on.
How often should I update my resume?
Interestingly, you do need to have a look at your resume each time you apply for a job. Each job's a little bit different, and it may be that you just need to fine-tune your resume as you look to apply for a different position. However, the base of the resume will normally stay the same. If you are making a fairly big change in career direction, that's when you probably should have another really good look at your resume and update it accordingly. Once you've completed a job and are looking for a new job, it is best to add that employment history onto your resume, as this will be important for your next potential employer.
What are some ways for me to find a suitable job?
There are a number of different ways to find a suitable job. We at the Jobs and Skills Centre can help you with that. You can go to an employment agency, and there are a number of them around the Great Southern and throughout WA. But most people commonly go online to have a look at the sites like Seek and Jura that will actually help you find the job that you're looking for.
What is the purpose of a covering letter?
A cover letter is a very important part of a job application. So once you actually find that job you're looking for or the job application you're looking for, the covering letter will actually cover all the things that aren't in your resume. And that includes the criteria that the employer puts down and the sorts of things that they actually want for that particular job. So a good covering letter should go with your resume whenever you're applying for a job.
How should I prepare for a job interview?
You need to get prepared for a job interview by, first of all, researching the company that you're looking to be employed by. Once you get into the interview, it's important that you have shown interest in that company and you have an understanding of what they do and what their values and purpose is. You should also consider the way you get dressed, and the best way to dress for an interview is in the same way as you dress for the job. There are also other points that are important to prepare for an interview. you should make sure that you follow any instructions given by the potential employer. You need to make sure that you have planned your trip so that you get there on time. Timeliness is very important. And you also need to make sure that you can pronounce the interviewer's names properly and the company's names properly. These are very simple things, but companies are very particular about you understanding who they are and what they do.
What should I expect when I attend a job interview?
There are a number of different ways that an interview might be conducted. Some of them are very informal by just one person. Some have an interview team of up to 3 or 4 people. And some are quite simply online. You might be doing them via Teams. But what you can expect is some fairly standard questions about why you are the best candidate for the job, a little bit about your background, and also there'll be some talk about your experience and qualifications to make sure you're suitable. But every job interview is different, so you really have to expect the unexpected, because sometimes interviewers can take things right off track. So while you can prepare for an interview, you also have to expect that it might not go exactly the same way that a previous interview has gone.
How can I learn from each interview experience?
This is all about self-reflection. It's important that you reflect on each interview that you've done, what went well, and what you can improve on for future interviews. There's no set pattern about how you go about this, but it's all about self-reflection. And in some instances, you might even get the chance to go back and talk to the interviewer about how you can improve your interview technique. But by learning from each experience, you're going to get better for the next interview.
Some of my friends have been asked what their biggest weaknesses are when they're in an interview. How should I best respond to that question?
Yeah, it's always a difficult one to do. I think people both have difficulty understanding their strengths and weaknesses. It's okay to acknowledge some weaknesses, but whenever you do acknowledge a weakness, it is a very good idea to talk about the way that you're trying to overcome that weakness. So it might be that you do think that you're a little bit disorganised, but if you say, to overcome this, I make sure that I use a diary and I make sure that every morning I work out what I'm going to do on a to-do list, then that both acknowledges a weakness but shows that you're actually looking to overcome it. So don't be scared to say, I find it hard to speak in public. Obviously, if you've got a job being a TV presenter, that would not be the best thing to do, but make sure that those weaknesses and somehow that you are addressing those weaknesses. And look, the other point is that being honest in an interview is very important. So if you do have a particular weakness and you actually say, yes, but I'm looking to overcome it, then if you do get into the job situation, then that will be understood and there will be support for you to actually overcome that weakness.
What's the best way to politely ask what the salary is for a position I'm applying to?
Look, in most jobs, the salary range is on the advertisement anyway. But if you don't have that information, you need to know what the salary is. Again, just politely saying, I am interested in what the salary range will be. Again, just by being honest, that's the best way to go about any job interview.
In an interview, how would I best deflect a question I'm asked that I'm not comfortable answering?
Look, in every interview, things can make you uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and asking for a moment to think something through. Be careful about what you say in an interview. One of the big don'ts is don't be negative about previous employers or other things that you've done. In an interview, you need to be positive, so take the time to think things through so that you can give a positive and considered answer.
Are there any questions that an interviewer shouldn't ask?
There are questions that are illegal, and we'll show those on the screen.
Depending on the job role, should I change the way I dress for an interview?
Yes, look, it's important that you dress in the way that that you're going to probably go into the workplace. You should be smart in any case and clean and tidy. But if you're doing a job that's going to require outside work, then wearing a suit would be inappropriate, and vice versa. If you're going to get a job that is in the business setting, then coming in casual gear is inappropriate. So you should give some thought to the way that you dress, and it should be based on the job you're applying for.
Can I use AI to write my cover letter?
You shouldn't use AI to write your cover letter because the cover letter really needs to reflect you. And while you may think that AI can work you out, actually you know yourself best. So I always suggest that you write your cover letter and get others to have a look at it to make sure that it would be something that would attract them to give you an interview.
Will my job still be relevant when AI takes over?
There's always room for human beings in every workplace, and what we need is young people who are excited and want to get into the workplace. So my answer to that is, I don't know what AI is going to bring along, but it will never replace human beings. Look, no two interviews are the same, so every interview the questions will be different, but here is a list of typical interview questions. Normally up front you'll be asked to tell me about yourself, what attracts you to this position, what do you know about our company? It's important that you've researched the company and you do know what they're about. What do you believe are your strengths as a person? How do you think your experience and skills match the requirements of this role? Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? And normally at the end, what questions do you have for us? So prepare 2 or 3 questions for the business. In summary, writing a resume and carrying out a job interview, it's like a normal conversation or writing a normal document. You're telling the potential employer about yourself, and by being interviewed, you're showing them that you're really interested in getting the job. The Jobs and Skills Centre can help you with this. We provide a free service across WA, so if you want a little bit of support, we can give you that. But all I can say to you is, you're worth something, you're worth a job, so go out there and good luck.